Yo, the way that my week was set up, this week did not want you guys to get a video. But I said, I beg, my people want a video. So there was a video. Yaggayoo, welcome back to my channel. This is Sylvie, also known as Frizzy. If you're feeling a bit ill, then it's Frizzy. And today I am I'm chatting. We're having a peppermint tea chat, a little vibes. Just want to throw it out there, I'm hot. I feel like Kimona, but the way that London is set up, it's, what's the temperature? Let me check. 29 degrees. Now usually I love it 29 degrees. I'd be on the beach somewhere hot. It's 29 degrees in my house. I saw a meme and the people then were saying that they went to open the window and realised that the window was already open. That's how I feel. It's very hot. It's hot. But we move and we're back. Welcome back to my channel. No. So today I'm going to be reviewing, this is a badass book. When we talk about seasoning, an all-purpose seasoned book. I'm just so gassed. Can we just peek my sunflowers? There's one of my friend's graduation gift. She was about to throw them away. She's not about plant life, whereas me, I respect the plants. So I cut them up and done a little thing for you guys, So my book today is called The Sex Lives of African Women. Oh, that makes better sense. Neither makes better sense, but it's The Sex Lives of African Women, and it is by Nana Darkoa Sekyiamah. She is a Ghanaian woman, and wow. Okay, firstly, I just love the book title. So FYI, so this copy is, I was given it way before the book was actually released. I believe the book gets released July the 22nd. I think by the time this video goes out, this book would have been released, fresh off the shelf. Brand new book, alert. You have to add it to your list. Anyway, so I just think it's nice. It's giving me West Africa. It's giving me vibesy. It's giving me energy. It's giving me a little. It's giving me a little sucker. It's giving me energy. First impressions, when I thought of The Sex Lives of African Women, first I thought, ugh. And that is mad, because I pride myself on thinking that everyone should have a mixture of identities. You can be a mum, you can be a sister, you can be a dancer, you can be a finesser. Society don't want you to be a finesser, but you be what you want to be. If you've read, I've read Noor series. So they are a series where they focus on a particular area, and all of the stories and the authors come from that area. So it's very similar to that. It's just, I would read it everywhere I went. I'd be chilling with people and they'd be talking to me and I was just like, yeah. You know when a book just gives you tea? So these are real life stories. So Nana has gone out and spoken to a plethora of women from all across the African diaspora. So we've got women from Canada, Zimbabwe, Ghana, South Africa, some Brits, some American. She's sprinkled them from all over the globe and made this book happen. So it's non-fiction. And these are women sharing their experiences of sex. And when I say women, there are heterosexual women, straight women, people who are non-binary, people who are queer, people who are lesbians, bisexual women. There's also a transgender woman involved. So she's making sure that everybody is brought to the table and has a seat, which I really, really liked. Do you know what? I like a book about sex. I do. I like to know what happens in people's, you know what I mean? You know when they say, oh, I'd love to be a fly on the wall. Sometimes I would like to be in a fly on the wall, but I would like to know what goes down in the business. I want to say that there's potential trigger warnings, but when you're reading a book about sex, it's not always the highs of sex. It can be the lows, and some of the stories pick up on sexual assault and some sensitive issues. So people need to go into that just being aware that it's not all roses and sex toys. Well, there are sex toys, but there are also the darker sides and elements of sex involved. I started reading certain things and I thought, hold on a second, I can relate to some of these things, and they're not always for the positive elements. So some people mention things where we make this joke within, well, it's not so much a joke, but you know, you talk about sympathy sex, where someone who runs you down for so long and you're just like, I'll just fling up the pum-pum because you won't leave me alone. Like those elements, or catty guys who won't leave you alone. Or also, okay, this is the one thing, if I can say what I really took from it, I learned a lot about polyamorous relationships. I always thought before, hell no, why would I want to share my man? And I also thought of polyamorous relationships as the sort of relationship where your man can just go and have sex with, you know, you got DMX like, it was Tanika, Legia, La Denden, I was thinking, so that's the free pass. And this book, there was a particular story that just really spoke out to me. Not spoke out to me in terms of I want to go and be poly, because I literally believe in a one man to my pump. Yeah, I believe in them things. I'm not into the spectrum of, but I was able to understand more. And I think books like these, and this is the thing, I know that there are African women who are not heterosexual, but I don't know if it's growing up, you think, be it in a religious background, be it just culturally, it's very woman and husband. And even in the African culture, just to give you more details, you're a child. My dad is old school, like boyfriend, like, no, you are a child, you'll be a child, you go to school. My dad used to be like, put the goggles on and watch the board. There was no left, right, center. So imagine that. And then teenage children, and a lot of my friends, and they discuss their parents saying, okay, study, you will be a doctor, you will be this, you will that, you need to go to uni. Then you finish uni and it's like, where's your husband? And you're like, bro, when did I have the time to find a husband? Explain to me when I had the time to find a husband, when you had a list of chores for me. So it was really nice to read and hear about the little ins and outs and nuances that happen within, not even just young people. That's another thing that I love about the book. This book, there's 70-year-old queer woman included. You've got the 29-year-old who's been in a couple of situationships and she's trying to find her way. And then you've also got a 21-year-old who seems like she's fallen in love at 19. And what I found really funny is, so at the end of the book, she was saying that, oh, she's always thinking about this guy. He will have a life impact. And I'm thinking back to when I was 19, and I'm like, well, if you're 21 now and you're 90, babe, you gonna forget him. You're gonna get some good D later, and it's gonna be like, I don't know you. It was just amazing to have African women out there speaking their truth. Because when I think about stuff like this, even through cosmopolitan magazines and Glamour and that, you've kind of got, you have the white girl speaking about maybe some head, or just something completely basic, sorry, head, what do you call it? Cunnilingulis? getting a pum pum sucked, whatever you want to call it. But you got all of those stories and you think, oh my God, that's a bit mad. But to then hear these African women speaking about some of their instances and sexual enchantments. Did I tell you that was a woman? Her and her husband were swinging. It was an open relationship. My mouth was hanging, because I was like, is that a thing? And that's the thing, I've read about these, I think, in a lot of fiction books and sort of sexual fantasy books. But I'd read it and I said, this is real life. This is what goes on. I want to be, no, I don't want to be part of it, but, or do I? No, I don't. On the back of that, so I then met up with a friend recently, and she was explaining that she was in a polyamorous relationship. And that's another thing. So this is saying about why you read. I feel like before I'd just be like, rah, okay, and just be asking just mad questions because I've got no clue, but also not from a place of judgment, but it'd be like, okay, like that's your lifestyle. What's for you is for you, but I wouldn't really be interested in knowing too much. Whereas now that I've read the book, I'm like, I've heard about this, tell me more about this. And just, I kind of lack filter as well, so I'll be asking some wild questions, but I'm all about consent. So if you're not comfortable, you let me know. Yo, Sylvie, back up, this is not your business. But, so I got some information, and one of the main things that I've been speaking about people with, particularly women, is that do women openly go into polyamorous relationships? I'd always thought, and this could be completely an assumption and judgment just on my part, from my mindset, is that generally women sort of get roped into poly relationships because their man wants to, or maybe he cheats a lot, or he wants to be dating whoever and you sort of just want to hold him down. Or the element from a religious side, a lot of the time in Islamic marriages, the man can have 2-3 wives. So you are faithful to him and then he is faithful in the sense to 2 or 3 different women. So I thought they were the only ways that women actually entered those arrangements. Whereas my friend was explaining to me that actually no, it's just something that she really, really likes. So she has her main person and she sees a complete future of him. And she was saying, so how she explained it to me, I was like, I can actually understand that. I really can. So she said, boom, you have your friend, yeah? Can one friend be everything? And I'm like, twiddle-dee, twiddle, sort of. And then she said, you know, you've got a friend that you party with, right? You have a friend that maybe you get drinks with, a friend that you confide in. I don't know, a friend that does your hair, but do you know what I mean? There's a variety of friends for different reasons, and she likened that into her relationship. So you've got your one main guy, your main squeeze, and then maybe you have a guy that's very good at laying down the D, and it could be someone that you love cooking with and just romancing, and it could be someone that you just want to flirt with, and they make the full picture. And I thought, why? That sounded good. For her, not for me. But I understood it more. I don't even describe myself as mad jealous, but what's for me is for me. What's for me is not for us. You understand? It's like SZA. Remember she was like, my man is her man, her that's her man too. I'm not sharing. You know when they say sharing is caring? For me, sharing is not caring when it comes to man. What am I sharing? But like I said, I respect that we all have very different lifestyles. So Cosmopolitan magazine have quoted, if you read 3 Women and thought, where are all the non-white people, this book has the answer. I read 3 Women. I did. I want to say Lisa Taddeo. I read it. I enjoyed it. I could relate to it from a basic woman level, but the nuances of culture and those elements, I was like, oh. You know when you look and it's like to see how the other half lived? I kind of read it for that, but there was no direct I could relate to it as a woman, but I couldn't relate to it as a black woman. You see the difference? I couldn't. Oh no, as an African woman. However you want to put it, there was a disconnect. That's the T. There was a disconnect. So it says that the sex lives of African women is a deep insight into the complex tapestry of African women's sexuality that bestows upon all women inspirational examples for living a truly liberated life. And one of my favorites, so she spoke to so many women. I believe she started this in 2014, and she has spoken to people, like I said, all across the world. One thing that I loved is she said that she would speak to people when she was in certain places and they would recommend someone that she'd speak to. So it was very natural dialogue and people who really wanted to share their truth. She spoke about one example, Nana spoke about one example when she was interviewing someone in a cafe. And you're like, yeah, and I done this and done this. And then the waiter would come through and the person would just be quiet and then resume when the person left. Because you're thinking, are you minding your business? Are you in my business? Just, honestly, by all means, this is not a book that I'm going to give my 13-year-old child to read. I definitely think it is an adult book because sex in England is for people of the age of 16 plus. So I definitely think it is for a certain target audience. There is one person that really stood out to me, and they just so happen to be from London. Her name's Waris, and Waris was born in Somalia. And she experienced sexual abuse, FGM, female genital mutilation, which is the cutting off of the clit effectively. It is illegal. It is really illegal. But the one thing that she was discussing in her section is that for her, she came from what she believed was a quite liberated and forward family. And then she was taken to the village back home in Somalia where they performed FGM. And just, I think about how that would shape your life, but also shaping who is to sit and tell you that the clitoris shouldn't be sweet up. It shouldn't be part of your booming sexual life. It's mad. Well, I want to say I get it, but no, I don't get it, because there are some things where you can sit and say, okay, that's cultural, and there's some things where you can say this is just bang out of order, and I believe it was bang out of order. But she describes herself, and I love that. So she's 39 years old, and she describes herself as a work in progress and a sexually free woman. And that, I want to touch on that. How many of us can honestly say that you feel like a sexually free woman? I was speaking to a friend the other day about even things like masturbation, and it's covered in the book how a lot of African women, when you're brought up in, let's say for example, like church going households, you're not taught to masturbate and to play with yourself and enjoy and go with the flow. It's like, yeah, the clit and that's there, and maybe you're peeing from it, and yeah, you can have sex because you're gonna have kids, but the intimacy and the fun parts, you're not really, no one will sit you down and say, babes, this feels good. And the major discussion I took from it, which I could really relate to, is the feeling of almost like when you are masturbating or even just having sex afterwards, you feel like, oh, because no one really feel bad whilst they're doing it. If you do it right, you don't feel bad whilst you're doing it. But you think after, like, wow, this is a sin, I shouldn't be doing it, this is bad. And it's such a mental, I want to say a mental fuck up. Because on one hand, you want to be liberated, you want to enjoy what you're doing, but on the other hand, it's like, damn, am I going to hell for this? And I've been telling you, it's 29 degrees in London, and if I can't deal with 29-degree heat in London, I would be shook if that I could be going to hell for masturbating or having sex. So it don't make sense. But I enjoyed reading the book. African women were centered and they spoke their truth. And also, so Nana came at the end. So it's in 3 sections, by the way. I'm missing that. There's 3 main sections. So we have, I want to say we have discovery. Yes, self-discovery, freedom, and healing. And then during healing, a lot of women give experiences of really horrible and kind of horrific things that have happened to them, and how they are working to self-heal and come out of it. Nana also, she ended speaking her truth, which I think is so fitting, because if you're writing a book and going to speak to all of these women and they're entrusting their story to you, I think it was really good. And not even just good, so a lot of these women, they have, for obvious reasons, for the main part, Nana has changed their name and details so you can't actually identify them, yet Nana has given us her truth. She's come forward, she said, this is who I am, this is my story. And I really, I respected that. I respected that a lot. She had been assaulted several times as a child. See, look, the epilogue. Let me read to you. I like a little read, little story time. Over a 6-year period, I interviewed Black and African women from all over the world about sex. In London, I was welcomed into the home of a stranger and drank tea while she showed me the rubber costume drying in her bathroom. One of the outfits she wears whilst pro-doming. In Sao Tome, I told my tour guide about my book project and asked if he knew any women who would be willing to share their personal stories with me. The chapter featuring Vera Cruz was a result of that trip. In Rwanda, a friend introduced me to Bingi, and in a cafe she shared the story of a man she loves but cannot be with, pausing whenever the waiter came to check if we needed anything else. In many countries around the world, women I had never previously met responded to the intimate questions I asked of them. What's your earliest sexual memory? How did you guys meet? I want to know all the details. What was sex like with them? We got all the details in the book. All the details. The nitty gritty. We heard, do you know what it felt like? I don't want to say that I want to gossip, but you know when your friend calls you for that good convo and she's like, girl, go with you and you got time, and you know, maybe you got the specs on, you got the hair bonnet, and you're like, girl, I got time. I learned so much from this book, and I think that was why it was just all-purpose season. There was not a question. Whilst as soon as I got into this book, I was said this book is banging, it's badass, it's a book that you must read. It is called The Sex Lives of African Women, and it is out now. And I sound like I'm promoting them. I'm not paid to be doing this. I genuinely enjoyed the book. Really enjoyed the book. I got sent the book months ago and I only read it this month, but also because I knew it was coming out this month, because I don't want to read a book in April and I can't express how I feel about the book, particularly if the book is amazing, because I can tell you about an amazing book in April and you're not going to be able to read it until July, and that don't make no sense. That don't make no sense. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to my channel. No, thanks for everyone who has subscribed to my channel. The likes, the love, I see it, I feel it, I receive it. I send you my frizzy love back. Keep supporting your girl. Subscribe, like, share. I'm pointing, hopefully I might actually add some things to match my points, because if not I'm just living a what list. But more content for your head top. Peace out.